So today we're going to talk about quadratic applications. So let me just get to the right page here. I'm sorry, this is probably blurry. Hold on 1 minute. Okay, so 1H, quadratic applications. So we're looking at falling distance. So it says for the following problems, use 4.9 t squared plus v sub 0 t equals s, where v sub 0 is the initial speed or velocity, and s is the distance measured in meters, and t is the time measured in seconds. So number one says, a bolt falls off an airplane at an altitude of 500 meters. Approximately how long does it take the bolt to reach the ground? So because it's falling off the airplane, it's sitting still. So its initial speed is 0, okay? And so we want to know, when does it reach the distance where it hits the ground? And so our S value is 500 meters because the plane is 500 meters above the ground. So if we plug in what we know, I've got 4.9 t squared plus 0t equals 500. We don't really need the 0t, so we can get rid of that. Okay, and if I divide by 4.9, oops, this is t squared, I get t squared is approximately equal to 102. And taking the square root, I get t is approximately equal to 10 seconds. Now, normally when we take the square root, we would consider the positive and the negative root. However, we don't allow for negative time, so we only actually need our positive time. So again, approximately how long does it take for it to reach the ground? And it's 10 seconds. Okay, so number 2 says a ball is thrown downward at a speed of 30 meters per second. Okay, so that means v sub 0 is 30. Okay, and again, it starts at an altitude of 500 meters, so our S value is still 500. And then it says approximately how long does it take the ball to reach the ground? So if I plug in what I know, I'm going to have 4.9 t squared plus 30t minus 500. Oh, excuse me, not minus yet. We're going to set it equal to 500. So I have a quadratic here in terms of t squared, right? It's 4.9 t squared plus 30t equals 500, and I need to solve for time, which means I need to write this set equal to 0 so I can actually solve for our variable. So I know in the past we've talked about different ways to solve quadratics. Always your easiest is going to be your quadratic formula. So if I plug this stuff in, I'm going to get t equals negative 30 plus or minus the square root of 30 squared minus 4 times 4.9. I'm going to run out of room. Times, what's c here? Negative 500. Hold on. Let me rewrite all this because I'm just going to run out of room and it's getting messy. So again, t is equal to negative 30 plus or minus the square root of 30 squared minus 4 times 4.9 times negative 500 all over 2 times a, and a is 4.9. Okay, so I'm going to leave you to throw this into your calculator and calculate both the positive and negative roots. Again, we only want one root, so one of these values is going to end up being negative, and we don't want time being negative. So the positive amount is going to give us approximately 7.5 seconds. So it takes approximately 7.5 seconds for the ball to reach the ground when it's thrown initially with a speed of 30 meters per second.